Good morning, children. So today we are going to learn the class 7th lesson, that is disaster management. So what is meant by the disaster? Disaster means natural calamity or natural disaster that causes due to nature's activity or the nature's interference, that is also called calamities. So that calamities are the events which may cause damage to human life and property, the calamities which occur naturally, that is called natural calamities or natural disaster. Our earth is wonderful planet or wonderful place to live, but sometimes natural disasters or calamities like eruption of volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, or tidal waves may occur. Such disasters are generally sudden and unexpected. So you read in the newspaper every day such a disasters. So we have no control over them. Okay, by knowing what to doing such a disaster, we can minimize the losses. So every day we read in the newspaper, so various news items about the disaster like floods, like tsunami, like earthquakes, like tidal waves, like cyclones. Okay, and they damage the life, human life, animals' life, and property also. So, is it possible to prevent the loss of life caused by lightning? Is it possible to prevent the loss of life cause of uh, earthquakes? So no, but we can minimize them. We can save the life by disaster management. So what should be done to prevent the burns on a farm from getting washed away in a rainy season? Usually we see, have seen the floods. Now the flood situation occurs in the Chennai area. है ना, flood में क्या होता है? Flood means sometimes wet in rains very heavily and continuously for several days. The rainwater accumulates over the land and river overflows. Okay, and that water flows to the nearby land and results in submerging of the area. So this is called a flood. Then that flood caused the huge damage of waterlogging animals, then property, living animals in the soil, that snakes that come out, rats, earthworms also. So they die, that crops get damaged, causing the loss of farmers, the topsoil washed away due to flood situation. Okay, then why do we experience water scarcity? It's opposite to flood. Water scarcity में क्या होता है? Water scarcity means drought. So when there is no rain for a longer period of time, that means a drought situation in a particular area. A very long period of time, there is no rain. This condition is called a drought. Okay, so drought results in severe water shortage. लोगों को पानी के लिए भटकना पड़ता है, लोगों को पीने के लिए पानी नहीं मिलता, एनिमल्स बिना पानी के मर जाते, पेड़ सूख जाते हैं, खेत के खेत भी सूख जाते हैं in a drought situation. Okay, huge cracks develop in the soil, crops get damaged, and people do not get food and water. So the major reason occurrence of drought, a large scale cutting of trees and clearing forests for the development of towns and cities. So some disaster, these are man-made and the natural disasters. For the man-made disaster, the human being is responsible, and natural disaster means they occurs naturally. Into which categories do the disasters shown in the news items above fall? So some news that given on the newspaper, on the TV media. So we see every day about the disaster. We can prevent certain disasters. Okay, while it is necessary to take precautions in case of some other disaster, in such a case, we can usually in a man-made disaster, we can prevent such a disaster. Okay, so that some other disaster, that is natural and man-made disaster, are related to each other. The natural disasters such as famine, lightning strikes, cloudbursts, storms, etc. occur due to changes in the weather. There is a possibility of damage to property in such a natural calamities. So who is to be held responsible for that? What can we do to deal with these losses? Okay, so see, famine. What happened in famine? The condition that arises due to long-term and severe scarcity of food grain and water is called famine. Famine means scarcity of food grains and water also. So famine can be very severe, although the main cause of famine is natural phenomenon, yet a famine condition is created by some human activities besides some natural events. So human activities such as cutting of trees are responsible for that. So what would happen if no food were grown during one whole year? So what happened? It causes a huge shortage of food grains. You know, food and water, these are our basic needs. We cannot live without food and water. So there are the records of loss of life caused by severe famines in various parts of the world. Okay. Asia has turned out to be the most famine-affected continent of the world. A majority of famines occurred in drought-prone and food-affected regions. Okay. Among the most tearful famines that have occurred in the world are the famines that affected India and चाइना. भूख और पानी ना मिलने के कारण लोग अफेक्ट हो रहे हैं. So are we responsible for famine? It's a question. So water shortage is increasing day by day, you know, as the balance between rainfall and population is disturbed. You know, India is the rank, is the first or second. China is the first rank in the population increasing. So India also have a huge amount of population is increasing day by day. For the large amount of people, large amount of food and water is required to for their daily food. Then so due to that the famine causes, so shortage of food and water takes place. Through there has been a very high rise in the production of food grains as a result of the Green Revolution. The balance of environment has been lost due to use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and weedicides also. You know, for getting more amount of crop production, we are using nowadays chemical fertilizers and pesticides also and weedicides. So that reduces the fertility rate of the soil and that affect on the production of the grains. Also they decreases the quality of the food grains. Then unlimited lifting of water, erosion of land, people are now cutting down trees, farm ke farm cut ho rahe, jungle ke jungle cut ho rahe for urbanization and civilization. So it affects on the environmental balance. There is the environmental balance disturbed totally. So it affects on the food and water. Misuse of water also. Lot of people are wasting the water. So this is the responsibility. These factors are responsible for the famine. Okay. In the past, famines are not a new phenomenon. The problems of drinking water, food and fodder for animals date back to historic times. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj implemented many schemes to overcome the famines of their time. So their water supply and water shortage schemes are ideal even in today's circumstances. You too can make schemes like these to face the future crisis and disaster. So which will be of use not only in your own life in the future, but also for society at large. So Malik Ambar implemented a canal scheme for drinking water in Aurangabad. It exists even today. Collect more information about it. So you should have also save food and water for your future. So don't waste water. Don't spoil the food. Don't waste the food items. Okay. So you have to take the food, whatever you need. Don't waste the food item and that use for the needy person or use it for future people. So what can we do to ease the severity of a famine? So plan uses of water and reuse of water. You can do it, okay? So proper planning of water conservation and harvesting at the local level, large-scale plantation of trees and prevention of deforestation, making appropriate changes in plants, taking into account the weather forecast. Okay, so you should have to to prevent the famines. You know, the water and food is very much essential. We cannot live without food and water. Animals cannot live without food and water. We required plants also for getting a fresh air. So plants are also very much important for our life. So this is about the famine. Okay, so large scale tree plantation, no famine, no land erosion. So if you grow a more amount of plants, you grow the forest area in your surrounding, and what happened that trees help for trees prevents the soil erosion because the tree roots that go deep into the soil that hold the soil. Trees also help that hold a lots of water, okay, and hence they grow the underground water supply. So the compose a variety of such things. So you should have to plant more and more trees to prevent our famine. Then cloud burst is the another disaster. So what happened in cloud burst? So usually the cloud burst occur at Leh, Ladakh on the 6th August 2010. So one incident, the cloud burst that occurred in Mumbai on 26th of August 2005 was extraordinary and unforgettable. Kitna flood aaya tha dekho Mumbai mein. On that day, it rained about 950 mm, 950 mm. That is 37 inches in 8 to 10 hours. And the entire city of Mumbai was waterlogged and flooded. Okay. So very bad situation at that time. Sometimes the water coming down from the rain clouds does not reach the land in the form of rain. Instead, due to very high temperature near the land, it vaporizes and goes back into the same clouds. As a result, the amount of vapor in those clouds becomes very high. Due to rapid condensation, it rains suddenly over a specific and a small region at the rate of 100 mm per hour or more. This is known as cloud burst. Okay, so that we have already learned about the floods and the effects of floods. So that creates a flood situation due to cloud burst. So the floods that have occurred at various places in Maharashtra in the last few years, you have to point out that nowadays in Chennai that is facing to the flood situation. So protective measures in view of floods. So you should have to take care. Flood में क्या होता है? Or sometimes when it rains heavily, the continuously for the several days, the rainwater accumulates over the land and rivers overflow. Okay. So what happened in flood? Construction of small dams in mountains regions. So to prevent the flood. Construction of percolation tanks means water get percolate into the soil and the groundwater level increases due to this. Making river beds flat. River beds flat banana chahiye. Then cultivation of new forest and connecting rivers. Okay. By connecting rivers, we can avoid the flood situation in many areas. You know, this is a very important protective measures in view of floods. So this is government of the India established the National Flood Commission in 1976. The commission has made a special efforts towards the control of the flood. A plan regarding flood control is kept ready from the national level to the village level. So large-scale damage of property and loss of life can be avoided because of this plan. Okay. Then lightning. So what happened in lightning? So see here, lightning means you have learned about generation of electric charge and lightning strikes in the lesson of static electricity. Okay. So in this lesson, we shall learn something more about lightning and measures for the protection from it. So the lightning strikes open ground maximum times. What happened? The world's mortality rate due to lightning is very low. However, survivors of lightning strikes suffer along the term efforts. Immediate treatment of lightning affected person can save their life. A study of places struck with lightning show that it happens more on open ground than under the tree and near the water. So mishaps have occurred most often when a person is at a high place or near a tall object. So we can avoid it by using lightning conductors. Okay, that we already learned. So wonderful thing to know. Lightning temperature more intense than the sun. Okay, not all lightning strikes the ground. हर बार बिजली होती है कड़ाड़ती है तो not all lightning strikes the ground. In fact, about 95% of lightning flashes are limited to the sky. Only 5% of lightning reaches the ground. So lightning can be generated within a one cloud, between two clouds, or between a cloud and the ground. About 40 lightning flashes occur per second in an atmosphere. The temperature generated by lightning is higher than that of the sun. Okay. Due to this high temperature, the air under high pressure expands suddenly and the loud crashing sound is heard. Okay, so I will hear a sound of lightning. So this is about the lightning. Again, so lightning से क्या होता है कि lightning causes, to see this disaster management we have to helpful. So what precautions will you take during thunderstorm? You know the thunderstorm. Do not stand on open ground or below the tree in a thunderstorm. Do not go to high location or climb a tree. Then do not stand near an electric pole or a telephone pole or a tower, etc. Do not learn on wire fences around a farm, a compound, a garden, or a house. Okay, so that it's a light precautions you should take during a thunderstorm. Okay, so this is about cloud burst, then lightning, and about the famine we learned today. In our next video, we will continue with another type of natural disaster. Okay, so bye everyone.